like every industry, men made comedy a very unsafe place for women because they secretly know that we're funnier than them. I'm not even joking. Okay, so I say this a lot. Everything is opposite day with men, right? No, men. Also, I'm giving you a pretty little building backdrop because why not? This is France, and that's France. Kebabs, pretty buildings, diversity. That's France. Anyway, so whenever men say things about women, as a collective, when men say things about women, it's always the opposite. They say, women are bad drivers. Okay, ask insurance companies about that, boo. They say women trap men with pregnancies. Okay, that's actually not true. Men are trapping us with pregnancies because we're the ones who have to deal with it, and they just cut out anyway. Again, no men. So one of my favorite projections is that women aren't funny. When I started comedy back in 2006 in New York, that was literally a common theme. Amy Poehler and Tina Fey were constantly trying to be why are we still having to justify this? Are women funny? Why are y'all asking us this? That conversation has finally died down. Do you know what that conversation is really about? Is that women were starting to get recognized for being not only just as funny as men, but actually funnier. Now, I'm not saying all women are funnier than all men, but if there's one thing that we know, it's that comedy is based in truth. Oh, by the way, everything that I'm saying about women and men, same thing goes with any dominant group, okay? This applies to white people. This applies to literally every group that has power, right? To stay in power, we project all of our fears on the people who are oppressing, or all of our own truths in the same way narcissists do, right? So real comedy is based in truth. Now, a lot of jokes are not really funny because they're not based in truth. They're just mean. And a lot of men's humor is based on just being mean and punching down. I remember when I was doing comedy, when I first started out, Tosh O, or whatever that douchebag's name is, constantly made grape jokes. Men don't know how to write grape jokes, most of them. I've heard one good one from a man, but I'm not even going to repeat it because women make much better grape jokes. Because we are the ones who know it more, and they're on the receiving end of this horror. When men make these jokes, they're usually minimizing, and they're ridiculous, and they're usually just so misogynistic. I make great grape jokes. And also, I'm allowed to make these jokes because I'm the one who's been traumatized by it. Humor is a trauma response, right? And humor is based in truth. Who do you think is closer to truth? Do you think a cishet white man with a lot of privilege and maybe even a lot of money, do you think that man really knows truth? I would be willing to bet he lives in a lot of delusion because he's got a whole system in place that protects him from seeing the truth of what everyone else experiences, right? And probably has a lot of enablers in his life to also protect him from that truth. And so, yes, I have some, my husband's super funny. But whenever he tries to be funny and make funny jokes, they don't land. When he's just his genuine self, his honest self, full of really insightful, emotionally intelligent observations, deep human truths, he's hilarious. Him and I have, our sense of humor is match. And I know a lot of men, a lot of my, I have several male friends in the comedy area, but you have to vet. And usually most of them are gay because privileged white men who are gay are obviously going to be closer to a truth, a human experience than a heterosexual white man with privilege, right? Because they've had to navigate an entire world of violent, terrifying, traumatizing world in a way that people who won't understand. And so I usually don't find most average Joes funny. I don't even find some of the most funniest, the most successful men who are comedians. I don't think most of them are funny. Their observations aren't anything that I haven't noticed too. But guess who hires who books all the shows at comedy venues? Guess what demographic that usually is? White men. Guess who? I remember when I was a nanny in LA, one of the kids that I took care of, her father was a TV writer on a very successful show. Oh my God, a man just stopped me and told me my butt was hanging out. It wasn't in a creepy way. He was just Madame, okay, thanks, buddy, but also I don't care. Anyway, so at this point in time, I had been doing comedy in New York and in LA for over 10 years. Wasn't making any money from comedy. I didn't start making money from comedy until I moved to Europe. Oddly enough, all those years in New York and LA, never made a penny doing comedy. I finally started making money when I started writing because storytelling doesn't really pay, and I don't do stand-up because men make stand-up a terrifying place. Ask any woman stand-up. Anyway, this guy I was like, wow, how long? So did you train at the Second City or the Upright Citizens Brigade? Like, how did you get staffed on that show? He goes, oh, my college buddy. He was like the showrunner, and he called me up and asked me if I wanted to write on the show. What? Are you kidding me? I just remember thinking, are you kidding me? Your white friend from college just called you up. Like, I was so angry in that moment. Because this guy, even our conversations together, he wasn't that funny. I mean, he wasn't not funny, but like, and I know so many men and women, but especially women, who are so much funnier, like who, like it's so frustrating. So it's men making all the shots. Men are the ones who control the whole comedy world. There was a huge Me Too wave in the comedy world. And you know who the most dangerous men are? The feminists. So many men who are feminists came out and ended up being total rapists. Just like so many men in left spaces. They're just like a wolf in sheep's whatever. I have so much to say on this, but seriously, women understand men more than men even understand themselves because we are on the receiving end of their violence. We know them more than they know themselves on so many levels, right? So when they make jokes about anyone, they don't know us. They don't know women. Any jokes they make about women are going to usually be misogynistic unless they've done a lot of work unpacking patriarchy and dealing with learning emotional intelligence, getting in touch with real feelings instead of hiding behind this toxically masculine crap. And I can say that also as someone who used to hide behind that, who used to, hide behind jokes. I literally used to be a toxically masculine man. I get it. But they can't even joke about themselves in a way that's as funny as the way women can joke about them. Same thing about white people, right? The people who are on the receiving end of our violence, whether it's, outright violence or like quiet violence, whatever form it takes, they understand us more than we understand ourselves on so many levels. And so they're closer to truth than we are. So of course their comedy is going to be better. It's going to be funnier because it's going to hit on something that it's like, oh my God, wow. And yet, despite all of this, despite the fact that cishet white men, especially ones who come from money, able-bodied, and have all of the privileges, are the least close to honesty, which is the bedrock of comedy. Despite that, they own the industry. They own it, they control it, and they make it very unsafe in every way possible for anyone in a marginalized community. When I started Improv 101 at the Upright Citizens Brigade in New York, there was right down the middle, 6 women, 6 men. And every class, 201, and with each year, I think by 301, it was 2 women and 10 men. And if I hadn't been working in the outdoor industry with a lot of toxic masculinity, wasn't already used to like insecure men projecting their fears onto me all the time, and me just learning to deal with it and have like a thick skin and just, I would have quit too. They make it so stressful. Men make every environment stressful because especially insecure men, because at the end of the day, they're really truly afraid that we're better at it than them. And on some level, they know we're going to be better at it than them. So why do you think they keep us out of those industries? Why do you think they push us out of those industries? Job security, man. Everything is opposite day in patriarchy, capitalism, white supremacy. Everything billionaires say about the rest of us is what's actually true about them. Everything that white people say about Black, Indigenous, and other people of color is usually actually what's true about us. Everything men say about us is what they're really doing or what they're afraid of. Once I realized that real simple equation, everything made so much sense. Thank God I didn't let men keep me out of comedy, but I did let men keep me out of stand-up. I can tell one specific story about that if you want. I also don't really want to do stand-up. I'm more of a storyteller anyway. But from what I understand, stand-up is the worst place for women. The worst, especially if they go on the road. So much SA happens in comedy clubs and these places that they put them up to sleep. It's ridiculous. But yeah, men aren't funny. Most of them. Because delusion isn't funny. It's sad.